Welcome back to Crowley House Flower Farm. This week on the farm, we are taking a look at the start of peony season as we check the fields. We have several different fields and different timings on the fields as far as cutting, as you will see in this video. But it is absolutely beautiful time of year with the peonies. The roses have started blooming. We're prepping and planting and all kinds of things, but we are focusing on the peonies this week and also some snapdragons that have come on in the greenhouse. Riley is cutting those as well as me, everybody. So we've got that crop coming on as well. It's just a beautiful time of the year. Anyways, I'm glad you could join us and I hope you enjoy the video. I'm in the greenhouse this morning and I thought I would take you along as I cut some snapdragons. They are looking absolutely stunning. These snapdragons we planted back in, I believe, January. And snapdragons are one of those things you can plant in the fall and then you can plant several times, basically fall and then early or late winter, early spring. I'm in a hoop house, so I'm able to plant in the winter time and have them come up like this. This is an amazing crop. I'm really, really proud of it. This is the first time that I've grown it this well. It seems like every year there's something that you grow that you're like, I am so good at this, you know? And then the next year you're like, holy cow. So that happened with my ranunculus. Ranunculus, generally I can grow just amazing. And this year I just struggled with them. They didn't do very good. They finally started producing late and then doing some really good strong stems. But last year I grew them amazing. They were like hip high and beautiful. So anyways, now I guess the snapdragons have stole the show. I think you guys could be here to smell them. They smell kind of sweet. It's not like overpowering. If you had them in a big vase, which I think today I'm gonna pop some in the house just because they are so bright and cheery, and they are just enough perfume to create this beautiful scent, not overpowering like a lily or something like that. Anyways, I just thought I would take you along as I cut a few for my market bouquets this week, and then I'm definitely gonna have to cut a few for open stock for our wholesale markets. So I'm trying to get out here before the little bumblebees start waking up. A lot of times this time of year we're kind of watching for them. They sleep along the flowers and they're just starting to get active because it's warm enough. We've had some really, really hot days lately, and so it feels like they're waking up sooner and sooner. I wanted to chat with you a little bit about when is the best time to cut a snapdragon. So here we have one that's absolutely perfect. It's got about 1/3 of the flowers open, and then at the top it's nice and closed, and then these buds here will open eventually. All of them will. They last in the vase a really long time, so they are a great cut for a market bouquet. They're super easy to seed. Their germination rate is great. It just takes a little bit of time to get them from seed to flowering, so you have to be patient, and sometimes they're looked at as kind of like a filler flower or not a focal point. But I think they are great as a focal flower as well as just a fillery spike, basically. But yeah, that's what the stages you want to cut them at. So when you're cutting a snapdragon, maybe I'll show you this way, is you can see all these little side shoots. I've pulled this part off because I want that nice and clean when it gets into the water. I don't want to have that snapdragon foliage down there. But let me just show you one that I'm going to cut this way. So I'm just going to reach down, kind of almost, we kind of look at our arm to the armpit. I'm reaching down almost my whole arm, and that's how I keep track. And I clip down, and then there I've got more buds coming, so I'm going to have another flush. The stem won't be as sturdy as this one. This was a beautiful stem. And then I just go ahead and clean it here in the greenhouse. Not everybody does that. But, and then this is 10 stems here. I just make sure the stems are even. I go down one. You've seen me do this before. Wrap around, down again. And a lot of times we would just make sure, if I'm selling this to a wholesaler, that the stems are all cut beautifully even with a nice sharp. And then for snapdragons, because they want to tend to bend, or the stems will curve a little bit if you just left it like this. You could do that, but there's a chance that it's gonna basically warp. So I take another rubber band and I just kind of gently go down to where the flower heads are, and that's kind of how I wrap them up for a wholesaler. That way when the florist or the buyer is coming to grab them out, then the tips don't pop as easily. That's one thing about snapdragons. These little tips sometimes will pop off and break. It doesn't mean it doesn't look beautiful, but we wouldn't use it. We would maybe throw it in the house or do something else with it. But that's basically how I bunch the snapdragons. They're really good in the garden as well. You just have to stake them. You'll see here that we staked with some white netting, and then we ran these little T-posts in. I always put something over it like this, a little terracotta pot. I think that's cute. And then we ran this baling twine around the edge to keep them from toppling over. So there's a lot of staking with snapdragons. They're really, really heavy. So if you are planting them in the garden, you'll probably need some sort of trellising system. You can get some great ones that are green and they just kind of like hug the plant. Some people will just let them grow wild and loose, and that's kind of that cottage garden style. So anyways, they are absolutely stunning, beautiful. I'll show you the buckets when I'm done.
So our sweet pea wall has started to finally really show off, and the blooms are starting to come in, and this eventually will get all the way up to the ceiling, which is amazing. And I'm so glad that we figured out this system of we use cattle panels to use as a trellising system. And we've done this now, this is our second year, and it's done fantastic. But we're really excited about the sweet peas coming on. Our snapdragons are coming on. Our peonies should be ready by hopefully this weekend, which is great because we were a little stressed because our anemones just finished and our ranunculus just finished. And we're like, when are they gonna pop? But they provided for us, and we're really happy that we can finally use them.
It was getting really hot in the greenhouse, so I finally finished cutting all the things that I needed. So I'm putting together some mixed bouquets. The girls are gone today. I gave them the day off because Mother's Day weekend we were swamped with market bouquets that we put together. They turned out absolutely beautiful. We were kind of to the point where we just were like, there is no more flowers to cut, and we didn't have any peonies to cut either. So it just made it a little bit difficult for us to do anything more. So we ended up Sunday at our church had a little Mother's Day thing. And so the girls, they were asked to bring some hanging baskets and some mixed bouquets, and they completely sold out. They could have brought more. It was really cool to have so many people support us. In town, we had hundreds of bouquets spotted around town. And again, people were just messaging me saying, I'm sold out, I'm sold out. But the thing is it wasn't always like that. You know, it took years to kind of get a reputation of good quality stems, good quality mixtures of bouquets, the colors being beautiful, lasting a long time on the table or in a vase. And so when I first started, it was just hard to get anybody to buy my flowers, and you just had to stay persistent with it. Anyways, I'm going to go cut some iris. They just started blooming. Again, we've had these really, really hot days. I think yesterday was almost 100 degrees. I mean, there's burnt, I just was looking at the sweet peas, and there's just little burnt tips to some of the sweet peas. So we had what we call bud drop, and that's where it's starting to bloom and there's like a little tiny bud at the top and it falls off. I remember the first time it happened to me here on the farm, I just freaked out. Googled it, figured out, oh, this is normal when we have these fluctuations in temperature. And so when we were going from, I mean, gosh, you guys, we were like barely hitting 57 during the day and then boom, just like that overnight. And we're not typically like that, you know, but we can in May have some really hot stretches like this. So long story, I don't freak out when I see that, but I do see that the sweet peas were a little stressed with that high heat. Some things I could have done is put the shade cloth on. I didn't because we were just so swamped, and you know, they'll recover, so it's not the end of the world. But I'm heading out to cut some iris, and I just wanted to show you the cutting stage, and then I'm going to show you the combination of what I'm putting together in these bouquets. So these irises were closed all yesterday, or until yesterday when it hit almost 98 degrees. And so now they're popping open. So this stage, I'm just going to leave them. It is a new bed of iris that's just getting established. We have a bigger bed at the peony farm that we cut on, so I'm not super worried about it. But I wanted to show you, so you could use something like this in a vase. And typically, if you were to break this down, not all of them do this, but it's not quite ready to, but you can see there's another bud forming down in here. So if it gets past its prime, we'll pop that and just use the bud underneath. But for cutting for a mixed bouquet, ideally you want it like this. Nice and closed, just a little bit of color showing. And again, a nice long stem length. This would be appropriate as well, just a little bit more color showing, but I probably wouldn't cut it past that stage there. So if it's like this, it looks absolutely beautiful in the vase. They'll just get bruised in transport, so I don't do that. Anyways, I think they're beautiful. Little pop of blue with our snapdragons, and I think I'm going to show you the combination as it comes together. I think it's going to be really pretty. So I ended up cutting some of this beautiful lupin. This is native to our area, and it's just stunning. But again, it's kind of like you have a little bit of bud open, and then the top isn't fully opened, and that's perfect for tucking into a bouquet. So we came out to the peony field, and like I promised, I said I would show you what's going on. And as you can see, we are definitely not quite there yet. Some of the buds are getting soft, some are showing color, but overall it looks like it's going to be a fantastic crop this year. Peonies are loaded with blooms, and sometimes when I look at it, I realize I'm just going to enjoy the time I'm in right now before we start cutting and before the workload becomes really heavy. We're supposed to have like really, really warm weather for the next foreseeable future. It's showing over a week out in the upper 80s and lower 70s, but kind of back and forth in that degree, so we should be cutting by the end of this week, at least starting with our coral charms, which are normally the first bloom that comes on. It is an absolutely stunning night tonight, and I love coming out here. We're right along the Willamette River, and this is one of the fields we sell off. It's not my field, it's one that we kind of broker some of the peonies and help load all of them, basically. So my job is to come out here and just kind of test the field, look at it, and we will start cutting with a crew. And the farm that owns this, they have their own crews as well, and big coolers, and we put them all in there. And a lot of these go into mixed bouquets. This year we're hoping to sell some off as a straight bunch at different grocery stores. We will see. But let's go take a look at a few buds, blooms, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when I say marshmallow stage, or in this case they're still a little bit hard, or what we call in the marble stage. They're having some color showing, which you want, and they're still a little sticky or sappy at the top of each bud. So you've heard us talk about ants on the peonies. And I saw some today actually eating the little sapling off of each of the peonies. So anyways, let's go take a look. Because we're down close to the river, it's a little bit cooler. There's still a lot of sap on these. They're sticky, but there's, you know, you can squish that. It's got a little bit of color, so it's going to be very soon. This one's a little bit harder, just a tiny bit of color showing right there. Still really sticky. This will be the first one that comes on, and then they'll move on from there. Pinks in here, I don't know all the varieties. I know there's Sarah Bernhardt, Coral Charm, the white one, which I never remember the name. So if you look up close, you can see all that sticky sap on there. It's kind of, and the head on this one is really small. This is like a hot pink one. It's really pretty.
Okay, so today is Mother's Day and our wedding anniversary. 28 years we've been together. So I wanted to do something special today, and I'm going to take this leg of lamb. We are going to smoke it and pull it. We're basically going to make pulled lamb, and then Beth is going to make flatbread, and we're going to make gyros. So I was going to take you through the process of how I'm going to prep this lamb, and then we'll show you how I cook it. Yeah, then we'll show you the finished product. All right. So I got this lamb at what they call it, Chef's Store now, which used to be called Cash and Carry. It's 8-pound leg of lamb, boneless. You could do this bone in. I just couldn't find any bone in, so I went with this. This 8-pounder was cheaper than me buying like two 2-pounders at like Trader Joe's or local grocery stores. So we're definitely gonna have leftovers for this week. So, but that's good. We always like leftovers when it comes to meat like this. So first thing I'm gonna do is I wiped it down, I rinsed it and wiped it down, and now I'm gonna take some avocado oil and I'm gonna just create a surface for the spices to stick to. So we're gonna go in here, we're just give it a nice liberal rubbing, and take your gloved hand and give it a nice wipe down. And you can use anything you want. You can use, people use mustard, hot sauce, you can use olive oil too. I just prefer avocado oil because it has a little bit higher burn point to it, so it doesn't, olive oil can get a little rancid when you cook with it, so it's better to cook with avocado oil. So I chopped up some rosemary, and we're going to attach that first, then we'll attach the seasoning because I want this to adhere to the meat as best as we can. So we're going to attach this, put this on here. I don't know if, like, what is too much really. I think it's a preference. If you don't like rosemary, then don't add it at all. But I think rosemary and lamb are two kind of things that go really well together. So I have two seasonings today, and no, neither one of them sponsor us. It's just two seasonings that I really like a lot. Sure Shot by Sid's. This is, it looks kind of weird. It's black, like it's because they call it gunpowder seasoning. I don't know, it just has just an incredible flavor. You can put it on anything. So we're just gonna go with a light brushing. Go kind of high, give it a nice even layer. I suppose if you didn't like lamb, you could probably do this with pork as well. Do like a pulled pork, but I don't, maybe a chuck roast or something. It kind of, I think that would probably be a little bit more traditional than lamb, because I think sometimes when you buy a gyro, they use beef instead of lamb. Make sure you get all sides. Looks pretty good. The nice thing about this is you can, with it being black, you can definitely see how much you're putting on there. My other seasoning, it's called Kansas City Championship. It's not necessarily like one that I go to. I think it's one that I bought to try it out, but it's what I have in the pantry today. So that's what we're gonna use. So we're just gonna go with another layer of this. Okay, I think I got everything covered. The ends are covered nicely. So we're just gonna take this to the fridge and we will see you when we come back. Okay, so I got the pellet grill up to temp. I'm gonna take this leg of lamb. We're gonna put it on there. And got the meter probe in there. I'm gonna cook this to about 165. We're gonna pull it off, wrap it, and then put it back on here till it gets internal temperature about 104. So yeah, let's check back later. Okay, so now we're gonna make the tzatziki for the gyros, gyros, whatever you want to call them. We're doing pure coconut. Riley's not doing dairy or gluten, so this is gluten-free or dairy-free. So we're going to add 2 cups of that. Now we're going to add the I cut up 1 cucumber, and I used the English cucumber. So we're going to add that. And I got about 2 tablespoons of mint. I'm going to add that in. And about 4 tablespoons of dill. So we're going to add that. Hopefully I got enough room in this bowl. And then we're going to add a zest of 1 lemon. And then we're going to add lemon juice from 1 lemon. So now I'm just going to go ahead and mix this up best I can without making, oops, too big of a mess. Just going to add some of this Raymond's Real Salt. We're going to add some of that. And then let's go ahead and add a little bit of the some of the seasoning that we added to the lamb. It's nice. Yeah, it's gonna work out perfectly. Okay, so our temperature on our meat is at 165 now. Let's take a look at it. I got insulin. Look at that, it looks wonderful. So we're gonna put it on here. We're going to go grab, let's take it inside. Alrighty, so now we got it in a pan. I got about maybe 8 cloves of garlic. I'm just gonna put them in here, and then we are going to cover this. Alrighty. So back on we go. Still at 250 degrees. We'll check it back in a couple hours. Should be done.
So we're out here in the peony field cutting, and it's going really, really well. It's actually going pretty fast today. It's a nice cool morning. It's not too hot. It's supposed to get, I think, in the upper 90s. So we have, we're cutting Coral Charm and Big Ben today. So the red one is the Big Ben, and then the Coral Charm is that really beautiful pink. So some of the flowers that are a little bit open, the big pink ones, the Coral Charm, we're going to dry for fall dried floral arrangements, basically. So we'll use those later on in the season, and then the ones that are perfect we're going to take and sell off to markets or put into market bouquets, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's going along pretty well. We've got a pretty good team. I think we have 6 people cutting right now, and this is just one of the smaller fields, so pretty soon there's not going to be any color at all. Aren't they gorgeous? So can you tell us just a little bit about what these are for?
Okay, so these ones, we cut all the ones that are too open, and we're gonna hang them up on the ceiling and dry them and then sell them as drieds. And also maybe put some in our house and give them to a friend, that sort of thing.
We've had really hot weather lately, and it's made the whole peony field kind of pop off. So we have a lot of work to do here. This is our first time cutting. This is actually really late in the season for us just because we had such crazy rain weather, and now it's super hot and it feels like summer, and that's just working with nature. Sometimes you don't know what you're gonna get every year. But we're really excited to finally have peonies. They're one of our favorite flowers of the season. They're things, we don't really grow them. We actually broker with other growers and farmers, I would say. And we cut it for them, and it's usually a really great relationship. And yeah, we're really excited about it this year.
This is what a whole bucket looks like. We have we cut stems of 5. We cut them in bunches of 5, 20 bunches per bucket. So I'm just counting out that each of them have 20 bunches, putting them all in buckets, making sure that they have enough water. But I love them. It's my favorite time of year.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the farm. We appreciate it. And until next time, much success in all you do and grow. And we'll be seeing you shortly back here at Crowley House. In fact, we're going to be planting out our dahlias next week. This video will be all about dahlias and planting and all the things. So I hope you can join me again. Until next time, bye-bye.